Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the M2A4. We'll start off with a brief overview, then how to use it, then some pros and cons of the vehicle. Overview. The overall firepower is decent for the reserve battle rating. The main cannon has decent penetration of about 60 mm, which is more than enough to go through most tanks below 2.0. Although the available ammunition rounds are all solid shells, they still create a decent amounts of shrapnel when penetrating, which is enough to knock out compact tanks. For larger tanks like the LVTA, accurate shots aimed at the crew's positions are required, which might be a little hard for new players. The cannon has enough accuracy to precisely target a weak spot on an enemy tank within 500 meters. If one shot misses, the reload time of around 3.5 seconds allows for quick follow-up shots. There is a stabilizer for the cannon, which is a big advantage when exchanging fire, as it allows you to move out of cover and fire normally before the enemy without having to wait for your tank to stop wobbling. The stabilizer should be utilized to maximize your chance of surviving and killing. Note that it only works below 10 kilometers per hour, so remember to slow down or it will not stabilize the gun. The main cannon is effective within 200 meters or against weakly armored targets, since the penetration drops drastically as the range increases. Plus, the small caliber makes the shells easy to ricochet. When encountering fairly well-armored tanks like the M13/40 or H-35, try to break their gun barrels first or detract them, then flank. The machine gun is only powerful enough to destroy poorly protected vehicles, mostly anti-aircraft guns. The penetration of around 10 mm is not enough to go through the frontal armor of those not so weakly armored tanks. If you are skilled, the two machine guns can effectively damage low-flying biplanes. The fixed machine guns in the hull are of little use most of the times, as it is very hard to point the hull directly at a target with the poor hull traverse of the M2A4. Usage in battles. The M2A4 light tank is the reserve tank for the USA. As such, it is very maneuverable and fast, being a light tank. However, it has many distinguishing features that make it a forgiving beginner's tank. The M2A4 is most comparable to a cross between a BT-5 and T-26. The M2 has slightly less mobility than the BT-5, while being a larger target and having better armor, like the T-26. The M2A4 also has a fast-firing 37mm M5 cannon that can fire a variety of shells. Its gun has better accuracy than the majority of tanks on its rank. Its ability to hit rapidly from range and still penetrate in part makes up for the somewhat bad damage of the 37mm gun. Like all tanks of this rank, it is lightly armored and can be damaged or knocked out by any other vehicle from anywhere on the map. A useful tactic is to make use of its speed by engaging at range and then relocating when the fire gets heavy around you. Pros and cons. Pros: fast and agile, decent gun, fair armor all around. Machine gun secondary armament allows for flexibility in taking out exposed SPAA and tank destroyers. Roof-mounted .30 caliber is somewhat effective at taking out unarmored aircraft. Cons: thin armor, terrible for hull-down due to lack of armor, prone to catching fire, has problems with climbing steep hills. Driving this straight into a wall at a fast speed can result in a crew knockout. Can struggle to destroy larger vehicles due to lack of explosive filler. This has been an overview of the M2A4. Please like and sub, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the LVTA-1. We'll start off with a brief overview, then how to use it, then some pros and cons of the vehicle. Overview. Its large and spacious hull might seem hard to knock out all of its crew, but that's only true when you are getting shot from the side. From your side, there is a huge empty area between the driving compartment and the fighting compartment that will absorb any shell, regardless of their explosive fillers. However, an experienced player will know to shoot at these two compartments and avoid the empty space. From the front, the spacious hull does not help to keep the crew safe, as a penetrating shell will travel through the empty space and hit any crew at the back, so you could die sooner than you expected. Avoid tanks with solid shots, for example, British, Swedish tanks. The deadliest threats are HMG and autocannon-mounted vehicles. The LVT's mobility is adequate. On hard surfaces, it easily reaches its top speed of around 38 kilometers per hour. On soft surfaces, it needs more time to accelerate, and the top speed is lowered. The reverse speed is extremely poor, which can cause you to take unnecessary hits. The hull traverse is great, allowing you to quickly change direction. However, a downside is that when you turn the hull to aim, you might overturn and swing the gun past the target, increasing the aiming time, which can be fatal. Due to its big and tall tracks, the LVT can drive over some obstacles that are too tall for normal-sized tanks. It can also swim in water, as shown. The gun is 37mm, like on the M4A2, which is described in that video. It's a decent gun all around, though, for its battle rating. The M1919 machine guns are mostly an afterthought on the LVT. The rear machine gunners are exposed to bullets and are most likely the first knocked out in engagements. The bullets are only useful against some light tanks and open-topped vehicles. The LVT can double as an anti-aircraft platform as well, because the elevation on the coaxial and rear machine guns is better suited for this task. Usage in battle. A tactic is to try facing down a street while hiding the massive unarmored hull. Try to only have the small turret stick out from behind the cover, or angle the tank's hull such that only the turret and a small part of the hull top crew is exposed. As the 37mm gun has little explosive filler, it will most often take 2 shots to destroy a tank, so try to immobilize the enemy first and then take out the crew. When the gunner gets taken out by return fire, the best case scenario is to retreat back to cover if available, or else sit it out and call for artillery in the meantime. If under artillery fire, immediately get out of the area, as the splash damage from the artillery will destroy the tank. When there are no enemies, always clear the frontage with the main gun and the machine guns so as to spot the enemy first and have the first shot advantage. Another tactic is to use the LVT-A. One's ability to sneak up waterways to work around the enemy lines and ambush when possible. If that is not an option, come at them head-on, either taking their vehicle out or disabling it long enough to get around and finish it with a side shot. Once done, do not take the waterways back, as the LVTA-1 is much faster on land. Another tactic that can be done against lightly armored vehicles is to drive backwards towards the enemy. The combined firepower of 3 machine guns and the cannon increases the chance to take out the enemy before they can take out the LVTA-1. The big thing to keep in mind is that the LVTA-1 is big. It is a large target that is hard to hide, but the spacious interior makes it harder for enemies to take out all of the crew members. At the same time, keep in mind that the LVTA-1 is an easy target for aircraft, as the vehicle presents as very easy target for anything. 50 cal and up. Pros and cons. Pros, very fast and maneuverable on most terrain. 6 crew members, fast-firing and accurate 37mm gun. Crew members are spread out, less likely to get knocked out in one shot. Great gun depression at the side and front. Heavily armored gun mantlet. 2 machine gunners that can fire at high angles, enabling anti-air. Small engine makes it hard to hit. Amphibious. Most of the interior is empty space, meaning that most tanks will need a few shots to knock out this tank. Cons. Huge target. Barely any armor to speak about. Exposed lower glasses. Weak armor and huge size makes it vulnerable to artillery. Can easily be destroyed by HE shells. Very slow reverse speed can prevent it from retreating back to cover in time. Unstable aim while moving. Bad suspension makes it unstable at humps. Very slow speed when traveling in water. Water rocks the tank when moving, making it unstable. Poor gun depression in the rear. This has been an overview of the LVTA-1. Please like and sub, and I'll see you in the next video.